Hello Yarn Gang, I'm Nikki at Bunny Crafts Oxford and welcome to my YouTube channel. For anyone coming back, thank you for joining me again, and for anyone that's new, welcome to my channel where we're going to talk about all things yarn. I've already posted one video that you can go back to the channel and watch. It's a dye with me video, and this one's going to be a little bit different. We're just going to talk about a few things that I've made. You can see behind me some of my favorite yarns. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and why I'm so obsessed with anything woolly, and yeah, we'll just have a bit of fun and a bit of a yarn chat, or you know, we'll just talk all about yarn. I'm going to start with apologies for changing the name of this series. Originally I was going to call it Over a Cup of Tea, but the YouTube algorithm's not really going to like that, and I don't think tea lovers are also going to like having a Fibre related podcast kind of given to them. It's like, hey, it's about tea. It's not about tea. Also, we're coffee drinkers here, but tea drinkers welcome too. Okay, this is going to be an absolute hot mess, a bit like my hair right now. It's different lengths because I'm my own hairdresser at the moment. So yeah, do excuse the mess. So I'm just going to launch right into it. So yarn, we're going to talk about knitting, and I want to first of all talk about where it all started, how it all began, and this lovely jumper that you see me wearing is where it all began. This is the Ladyfinger sweater. It is by Morgan. I will not attempt to pronounce her surname because I will absolutely butcher it, but I will put it in the description. She is known as Morthunder or Morthunder on Instagram, which I will also link, and she's genuinely one of the nicest, sweetest people I've come across. I have had the pleasure of doing some test knitting for Morgan as well over the Christmas period, and I will share that with you in another video. But the Ladyfinger sweater, so this came out I think in the summer of 2020. It came out last year, and I remember seeing a picture of it on Instagram of her wearing it, and the one that she wears is in these lovely browns and whites and some speckled and variegated yarn. I just fell in love with it. It was absolutely gorgeous, and because of the way that it is designed, it can be anything you want it to be. I mean, you can see mine, and I'm just going to stand up so you can see a little bit better. So mine is many different colours. I love the yellows, I love the blues, I love the teal. I just absolutely love it. So I saw the sweater. I'd already been umming and ahhing about yarn dyeing, but I thought, right, I know what I want it to look like. I had an idea in my mind, and I couldn't find a yarn to match what I had in my mind. So then, because I'd already been watching Chemknit and A Girl and Her Wool, and I was curious about yarn dyeing, so I thought, I know what I can do. I will buy the amount of yarn I need for the sweater, and I will try and dye it myself, and if it doesn't work, then I'll make socks. I think it's important to note that at this point, I had never knit a sweater, and I hadn't yet knit socks either. I had knit flat, back and forth, stocking net, maybe some garter stitch, but genuinely, even though I'd been knitting a while, I had never knitted anything complicated. I'm quite a quick learner, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to get over my fear of knitting clothes, get over my fear of colour work, because it's a colour work sweater, learn what a yoke sweater is, which this also is, just, yeah, you know, I wasn't in a hurry. I was making this for me. So let's get on to it. So I wasn't going to go straight in and buy acid dyes and buy professional dyes. I knew from Rebecca at Chemnitz that you can absolutely dye yarn with food colouring, and you can do it quite cheaply. You know, you can use your own pots and pans. You can use pretty much any food colour that you can get your hands onto. You need a bit of acid, so, you know, vinegar, citric acid, and heat. And obviously a protein-based fibre, so wool, alpaca, silk, yak, stuff like that. So I did it. I bought some yarn, I bought some citric acid, and I bought the 8 colour Wilton Colour Right system. And I have it around in this room somewhere, but I'm not going to dig through boxes now to show you. And I knew I wanted to try and do a mustard yellow, and I knew I wanted something teal and something blue, and the rest of it was, let's see what I can do. So at the top you can see this sort of white, blue and red speckled yarn. This is done by taking some of the citric acid and mixing it with a few drops of the food colouring, which is in liquid form. It's like a gel, and just mixing it in until the citric acid covers it, and then just sort of sprinkling it on top. And that's how you speckle yarn. That's how the speckled teal yarn that you see here is. So I did all of that. I bought the pattern, and I realised that I had the wrong weight yarn. So the pattern calls for DK weight yarn. This is sock. So I started reading about what do you do. I didn't want to hold the yarn double. That was beyond me. This was already quite a challenge. So I decided, after reading about what gauges and tension and all of these things, that what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit it on bigger knitting needles. So I went up one size knitting needles to try and get gauge. I still didn't get gauge. So and to be honest, I didn't knit the swatch either. People were going on about trying to knit swatches, and I'm like, I've never even knitted around. I'm not trying to do a knitted around swatch with yarn hanging in the back. It was just not going to happen. So I thought, okay, I've gone up a size of needles, but what I'm also going to do is go up a size of sweater and make something that if it ends up being too big, I won't mind, because it will just be oversized. Let me tell you, there is no positive ease in this. I imagine there's about 1.5 inches of negative ease. So when I take it off, it just kind of goes and it just stretches nicely. I'm sorry if I've touched my mic. There is so much wrong with this sweater. I can't even begin to explain how many mistakes reside within this piece of knitting. So on the back, I can't show you, and I'm not going to show you where, because when you're knitting around, it just kind of, it loops, it's not equal. You get a bit of a disalignment between the beginning and the end of the round. There is one bit where I was changing between the sort of ombre teal and the mustard, and they're just all over the place. There's not even a joint, there's just a gap, and there's things on the wrong side. I have no idea what I've done. I think I may have dropped the stitch and then realised and picked up the stitch, because that happened a couple of times. So there's a few places where there's too many stitches and to knit together to fix it, or too few stitches and a stitch made, and then the missing stitch was found in a ladder somewhere. It was gorgeous. It was an absolute disaster. The cast-on is just one of those really standard cast-ons. It's not stretchy at all. When I was knitting my first row, I kept getting these long ladders because it's not like a German twisted cast on or anything like that. So it ended up being really stretchy, it's curled, it's not even, it's really, really messy. The tension, I don't know whether you'd be able to see it. You can see where it bubbles. You see where it sort of gets a bit wavy. That's because my colorwork tension is too high, so I'm pulling the string of the float, the yarn that's behind, too tight, and it's just bringing it all together. So when I take it off again, this looks like an accordion. It's really funny. The sleeves, when I bind off, they're kind of like all sort of stretchy. Don't even get me started on the armpit joint where I picked up the stitches for the sleeve. There was these giant holes, I'm talking like that big, just sort of here, that I was left with, and I did not understand what I'd done wrong. Turns out it's a good idea to just pick up an extra stitch between where your first cast on stitch is and the sleeve stitch and the sort of underarm bit. And then just knit two together, just to kind of help that gap. And you do that with socks as well, when you turn the heel and then you're starting to knit the is it called the gusset? Yeah, the gusset. I just didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. I learned so much, and now I have this beautiful, insanely bright sweater that I love. It's really warm. It's snowing outside right now. There's no radiator turned on in this room. This is the spare room. And I'm really, really warm. And it's short sleeves. So yeah, you can see the sleeves where it's just like, yeah, bit of a gap. It goes to about my hips. I'd stand up and show you, but I am wearing my pajama bottoms. I was not coming out of my pajama bottoms for no man, woman or child. I'm telling you now, until we're out of lockdown, I'm going to be in my pajamas. I will put something on the top for you, but the bottom is staying comfortable. Mainly because nothing else fits as well, because chocolate is a thing in my house. So yeah, so this is the sweater that started it all. This is the sweater that started the yarn dyeing. This is the sweater that started the absolute knitting obsession. Before that, I was crocheting everything. I love crochet, and I still crochet. I mainly crochet amigurumi, and I'll have a little episode that's just about my amigurumi. I have a couple of really, really fun commissions as well, which I'll be able to show you as they progress on my Instagram. So yeah, we'll do crochet and amigurumi on its own special episode. Today is going to be all about why I knit. So yeah, this is the ladyfinger sweater. Since then I have test knit the Fortuna sweater for Morgan, which is absolutely gorgeous. I dyed the yarn for that one myself as well, and it's in beautiful oranges and blues and whites. You can see it on my Instagram if you want to have a quick look. If not, I'll show you, I'll wear it for the next video and show you that one then. I didn't want to just throw all of my knits at you in one go, because according to my partner Tom, I'm producing them at a rate of knots, and he can't keep up because he feels like 10 times a day I'm like, oh, look Tom, look at what I've made. I've made this and I've made that and I've started this, and yeah, apparently I'm doing too much. So this was my trial by fire into the world of garment knitting. So yeah, I've done the Fortuna test sweater. I'm currently doing a preview knit for Brooklyn Tweed for another sweater that's coming out in February that I can't talk about or show you until after the 10th of February, when they start releasing a little bit more information about the new designs that are coming out for them. It's a lovely sweater, and I'm going to talk a lot about that because I knit it in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, and I have a lot to say about that yarn. A lot. And then the next thing that I kind of absolutely latched onto is Stephen West. I think anyone that knits probably knows Stephen West and has either knit or would like to knit a Stephen West piece, whether it's one of his knit-alongs or one of his hats, his bonkers colourful jumpers. I absolutely love him. He is so funny and he's so creative, and the fact that he's not afraid of colour and would like to introduce more colour into a world that is currently really grey is just wonderful. It makes me very, very happy. So you can see it behind me. I knit the Winter Lights shawl. So this was the Stephen West hybrid knit along that started on the 26th of December. There was no deadline. I think it was like until the 1st of February or whatever. There were 2 separate shawls that you could knit, and when you pre-bought the pattern before it came on the 26th, it came with both shawls essentially, and you chose which one to do. Stephen was amazing and gave us a little surprise as well, and added the honeycomb hat, which is a really, really fun hat that's in the honeycomb pattern that you see here. And I'll bring this closer in a second. So yeah, I was too late for the slip extravaganza, which happened over autumn and which seems like an absolute challenge. It's enormous. I mean, this shawl, you can see it. This is my TV that is hanging on and off of, because it seemed like a good sized item to hang the shawl off of without stretching it too much. This is a big shawl. The slip extravaganza is even bigger. A lot bigger if some of the pictures are to go by, depending on how long you want your zigzag border to be. So yeah, I will eventually knit a slip extravaganza shawl, but I'm not quite masochistic enough for that yet, because this was a challenge for me. And it wasn't a challenge because it was difficult. It was a challenge because it can get a little bit repetitive once you get to the sort of border and you have, what, 800 stitches on the needles, and you just, you know, stockinette or purling your way through it. And at one point it's just like, oh, can we do something else? And I think what Stephen does really, really well is, as soon as you get to that point of like, okay, this is getting a bit repetitive, you throw something else in. So this is where the zigzags on the borders come in. So you get this, the whole border is all wavy. This is where the bubbles come in. So there's bubbles on there. The sun bit, I absolutely love. This sort of ray of light is gorgeous. And I dyed the yarn for the shawl myself. My surname is Green, and I wanted a green show. So there it is. You can actually get the yarn set for the shawl off of my Etsy shop, and there are 4 colours, and it's on a high twist base, and I have to say I love the colours, and I love the amount of combinations that you can do. My main colour is the light green that you see, and I'll just bring it closer. So you have the big black TV in the background and a nice reflection. Let's do this, and then there's less of a, there we go, less of a reflection. So let's get this closer for you. Here is the shawl. The green is pistachio green, then the dark green is the is avocado, and you have this cabernet, and then you have the speckled yarn. So this one, the variegated yarn, is called Plum Tree, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You can see it better. Let me lift this so you can see it better in the borders. So yeah, and I didn't quite follow the pattern. So I'm a really, really loose knitter, and I didn't, if there was a gauge, I wouldn't have got the gauge. I think I'm probably a whole stitch out of gauge. So for me, my main colour ran out at the end of the honeycomb. Because you're supposed to have this bubble border that you see here with the slip stitches and the dots. You're supposed to have that repeat again here, but there was no way I was going to have enough to repeat the whole border. So I used the variegated speckle yarn instead. And I actually love it. I think it worked out really, really nicely. I did make a mistake. I made a mistake with the border. I'm just going to put this over my shoulder like this. So the border is supposed to be these like three, I can't hold it properly. These three, like it's supposed to be the 3 colours in 6 rows. I completely lost track of what I was doing. So my green, 2 rows of green are done together. But I also didn't do the yarn overs in between them. So my waves aren't very wavy everywhere. And then the other thing as well is I think I made a mistake on one of the counts around here, and you can see it's not as wavy because I think my yarn overs don't match up going all the way down. I think somewhere here it's shifted to one side. I'm not mad. I don't care. It is absolutely wonderful. Oh my god, it clashes so much with... Let's try and not hit the microphone. It clashes so much with this shirt, but I don't care. Oh, I'm rustling. Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. And it is so soft. And I'm catching the microphone. I'm so sorry. It knit up relatively quickly. It took me about 3 weeks, and that's considering that I'm not a project knitter. I am very much I feel like knitting this. So I have usually 3 or 4 things on projects going. So I've got 4 whips on at the moment. But I'll only show you 2 of them because the other 2 I'm not allowed to show you. But yeah, so I think it took me about 4 weeks in total to do this, but I was knitting a lot of other things. I've knit pretty much a whole jumper in between. I've knit 3 pairs of socks. I've knit most of the 2 whips I'm not allowed to show you, and a half of the whip that I will show you in a little bit, which is another shawl. I'll put this back here, and I'm just gonna sit in front of the TV and bring my copy a little bit closer. Okay, so those are the 2 big items that I wanted to show you today about finished objects. And I'm so hot right now. This is on my standard sock base, which is 75% merino and 25% nylon, and it is so warm. Genuinely, I mean, it's wool, of course it's going to be warm, but oh my god, is it warm. So these are my finished objects. Let's talk about a couple of whips. I'm first going to start off with my socks. Let me grab those and hopefully not drop everything else. So it's a half finished object because I have half finished one of the socks. So this is one of the socks. I don't have sock blockers at the moment. So yeah, so this is the sock. It's pretty much a vanilla sock. I did a 1x1 ribbing at the top, and then I've done a 3x1 ribbing where the 1 is not just purl, it's 1 row is purled, 1 row is knit, so you get a bit of a funky ladder. So when it's on, it will look like that, and I quite like it. I did just a normal slip stitch heel, and it's, I think it's 45 or 50 rows across. It is a 60, 64, 64, yeah, it's 58, 64, 72, isn't it, usually? So it's a 64 cast on stitches, and it's knit from the cuff to the toe. I've done just a standard turned heel, and I've done the standard toe as well. Like, I haven't done a start toe. I'm not a big fan of the start toes because one of the seams just kind of hurts my big toe. I always seem to have a seam going through it, and when I wear shoes with them, it's a bit scary. I'm probably going to finish these socks, wear them 3 times, and then I'm going to have to be darning the toe area because my toes seem to be made, I keep touching the microphone, my toes seem to be made of razor wire, or I don't know, knives or something. They go through socks so quickly, and I don't know what to do to reinforce the toe, or yeah. If anyone has any ideas, leave them in the comments below on how to make my toes stronger and thicker and nicer. Let's talk about the yarn. So this is again on my sock base. The heel, the green yarn, this was a leave not what not. I had some dye left over, and I just threw it on a mini skein that I had, a 20-gram mini skein. There's a little bit of red in there because I had literally like a pinch of red acid dye left on a spoon, so I just kind of speckled, oh my lord, speckled it on. I think it's Dharma Fire and no, Jacquard Fire Engine Red, and the yarn was already green where I'd speckled the green, and it had spread, so you can see there's like green speckles and stuff, or green splodges more like it, and then lighter where it had spread. And yeah, so it went really well with the self-striping grey and orange. So I buy some of my yarn on cone and will then skein it myself, and that's usually how I make mini skeins, although right now I don't have any mini skeins. There's a lot of issues with yarn supplying and certain bases running out, or running out in certain forms, so you can at the moment either buy it just on cone and it's DK, or you can only buy it in packs of 5 skeins and it's sock, and you can't buy something else. So when I had my sock yarn on a cone, it's a 1 kilo cone, I decided that I was going to do this giant self-striping skein. So I put 4 kitchen chairs, I think it was a total of about 6-7 feet in circumference. That's a hard word. And just walked around the chairs. I had the cone in a bowl and would weigh the bowl every now and again to see how much yarn I had wound around, and I took 300 grams in total, and the skein was, when it was stretched out, it was about 7 feet long. It was the size of my living room. It was mad. I dyed 2/3 of it in the silver grey colour. So this is when it's balled up. It's so messy. Let's make it less messy. This is when it's balled up, and when it knits you get about 3 silver or grey lines, and then you get between 2 to 2.5 of the orange ones. And so I first dyed 2/3 of it in the grey, silver grey, jacquard silver grey, and then the other bit I dyed in the orange, and then the orange bit I also speckled with some jacquard forest green, I think it is. And yeah, and then I split the 300 grams into 3 100-gram skeins, and I kept one for myself, and I listed the other 2 on Etsy, and they were gone before I even finished listing them, sort of thing. This was so much hard work. I'm not sure I would do something like this skein without having some sort of help to make the skeins. What I would probably do is a self-striping where you have one colour first and then the next and then the next, because you can take a skein and be like, right, 10 grams or, you know, 20 meters or whatever off to one side, you dye it, and you just dye it progressively into different colours. I think I'll do a video about that because I do want a self-striping rainbow. I definitely want self-striping rainbow socks. So I think I'll separate a skein in 50 grams so that you get 2 identical sock skeins, and then maybe do a contrasting cuff-toe and heel skein to go with it. Oh, this is exciting. I need to write this stuff down. Anyway, so these are my socks. I'm knitting them on a US size 2.25 millimeter. I like the fabric that I get out of that. They're nice and, you know, they're nice and stretchy, but I get plenty of negative ease so they don't fall down. I'm still not 100% sure whether 64 is the right stitch count for me. I think maybe I need to go down to 58 stitch count. And because I've done the 1x1 rib on the cuff, it's quite nice and tight and stays up, but the around the ankles and stuff, I don't really even get negative ease. It just fits. And these fit top really nicely. So yeah, I think you might end up with these ones. I think I have enough yarn to knit a second pair. And because I'm actually doing the contrasting heel and toe, the other pair I might do a contrasting cuff as well, and just do them like a plain vanilla sock, no ribbing, no nothing. I do love a plain vanilla sock. It's just so nice to knit. It just keeps going. And that way I'll definitely have enough yarn. So this is my one whip. These are probably going to be finished by the weekend because I'm just doing the gusset, and I do them on the magic loop. So I'm just doing the gusset. Another thing that I don't know if you've noticed, I have 2 stitch markers. This is my beginning of the row, and this is my middle of the row. And I do this with anything that I knit around, because especially if it's a patterned garment, whether it has a stitch pattern that I need to follow or a colour pattern that I need to follow, by having that middle of the round marker, I know halfway through the round whether my stitch count is correct or my colour work is correct. And if I've made a mistake, I catch it in the middle of the round and have to only think back so far rather than catching it at the end of the round and having to take the whole round. So it really helps me control, because I get distracted, I look at my phone, I watch TV, I chat to my partner, you know, life goes on, and so it really helps me both count stitches but also just make sure that it's all going well. So that's that. The other whip that I'm going to show you is something that I'm calling the textured shawl. I'm not knitting this off a pattern, I'm knitting this out of my head. There are a few textured stitches that I absolutely love. I had a lot of yarn left over from this wonderful sweater, so I've started knitting a shawl. It's a really hard word for me to say, that one. Using those stitches and then using the yarn, and it is this so far. So we have, I'll bring it closer so you see I have the sort of mustardy gold colour in this really nice stitch, and then I have seed stitch for the teal ombre. So this is a dip dyed yarn, and this is a tonal. And once I run out, I don't have a lot left of this, so this is how much I have left of the teal. I do have about 15 grams left of the gold colour, which I'm going to use at the very top as a border. I think I'm going to do like an I-cord border so that it doesn't curl. And what I did at the beginning as well, is just as a start, is I do actually have some of that because I like the white stripes just in a standard stocking net. And then on the other side, you can see my Weave and Steven there. You've got the sort of garter stitch bit, the pearl stitch. I like the way it's working out. I like the colours. I'm writing the pattern along as I knit along. I love the texture, and even though it is a sock weight yarn, because these are all like fluffed up, the way that it's knit is really nice. So it's squishy and it's soft, and yeah, I love those colours. They're coming out on the camera really nicely. So yeah, I'll keep posting progress pictures of this as well. I think the next colour that I'm going to do is probably going to be either the teal or the speckled teal or the speckled white. I'm not sure. I'll see how it goes. And I have a couple of other texture stitches. I want it to be quite large and wrap it around for spring, so that, you know, when I go out on walks, I don't have to take a hoodie with me. I can just take this, and then it folds really nicely into a bag if I get too warm. So those are my whips. And I've already been going on for nearly 40 minutes. I'm so sorry. I'll move this along. So let's talk yarn. I'm first going to show you one of my yarns that I have available on my shop, and that I absolutely love. I just need to share it with you because it's so sweet. So this is Unicorn Dreams, and it is a mix of pinks and blues and purples, and it is speckled with this lovely green. There are a few silver grey speckles, so I'm going to hide my face as much as I can. So yeah, my Unicorn Dreams. This was a lot of fun, and I'm showing this to you because this yarn was a community dye. So I kept sharing progress on my Instagram as I was dyeing it, and people were kind of saying, oh no, do this or do that. And the green speckles were a result of a poll that we did on my Instagram stories, although most of them say it grey speckles, and I did try, and there's a few you can see here. Can I hide it? Yeah, so you can see a few grey speckles here, but Jacquard Silver Grey is so fine, it's really hard to speckle with, even when you mix it with acid dye, with citric acid. I can't speak today, I'm really tired. It has been a really long week, and it's so grey outside, and it's slushing now. It was snowing before, it's now just sort of half rain, half snow. Anyway, yeah, so Jacquard Silver Grey was really hard to speckle on, and then I had this lovely green already mixed with some citric acid, so I speckled it, and it's not everywhere, so the green is only just going to be a pop here and there. It's very lightly speckled. I think this would just make a beautiful shawl. It would also actually make a really, really nice just vanilla sweater or vanilla cardigan as well. You know, nice stocking net. If you're brave enough to knit a cardigan in the ground, power to you. But yeah, so this is now available in my shop, and you can get it. You can get it on my sock base, which is the 75% merino, 25% nylon. You can get it on the DK version of the 75-25. You can also get it on the 85-15 DK base, and you can get it on an 80-20 high twist base as well. The high twist shows the speckles really, really nicely. So this is my yarn. And now I want to talk to you about one of my favorite independent yarn dyers that we have here in the UK. Her name is Tracy Mustard and she runs What Mustard Made, and she is hilarious, like actually so funny. She's so nice. She's a very positive person as well. She is just, yeah, I like her yarn. I follow her on Instagram and I chat to her on occasion. I subscribe to one of her yarn clubs, so she has several of those, and then you can just order yarn separately as well. Oh, okay, I think I might be running out of space. So we'll see. This message just completely broke my train of thought. And also words are hard, so hard. So yeah, Tracy's an amazing dyer. She also has some stunning stitch markers, and I've ordered some to come with my next yarn club, which hasn't arrived yet. I don't think that's arriving until the end of February because my January yarn club's about to arrive, and I ordered the stitch markers after that was shipped. And just to help her along, rather than having to then ship me stitch markers, I was like, just bang it all together in one order and it's fine. So I have had 2 of Tracy's yarn clubs. I first started subscribing to the Surprise Bird Club. So you don't know what you're getting. And Surprise Bird is Bird but speckled. And I will show you a couple of my surprise birds. So this is the very first one that I ever got, and I love the peachy pink, and I just absolutely love the neon boldness, and it's so pretty and gorgeous. So I don't ever want to knit with this. I really don't. It's wonderful. It's on, let's double check. It's on her 4-ply 100% BFL base. So all of mine are on her sock BFL. This was the other one. How beautiful is that? This is just, I absolutely love the gorgeous mustard with the speckles, and then the white and the neons and the bright hot greens. It's amazing. I think this is going to maybe be socks. I don't know, it's too pretty to knit with, but I really want to knit with it. Any ideas? You know where to put them in the comments below. And then she started her Lumia club, and Lumia is, oh, it's illuminating. It's beautiful. So this is my very first Lumia yarn. I will twist it so you can see it. So it has this beautiful, I'm going to guess that it was maybe dyed like this and then speckled. I'm not really sure, like, or yeah, there we go. That looks about right. And yeah, it has the I love the teals, the pinks, the blues, sort of fuchsias, the purples, and then you've got the gorgeous speckles that are just sort of Tracy's, almost like Tracy's signature. So yeah, I will link Tracy's shop below. I'll also link her Instagram. Do show her some love, and she's wonderful. Just, yeah, I absolutely love her. And oh my, this is so soft. I just keep feeling it. It's just like, it's amazing. I do love her BFL base. So yeah, this is my Tracy Mustard yarn by What Mustard Made. There we go. So I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. I was going to do a segment where we pick a new technique to learn together, but I haven't found a pattern that I want to knit. I'm definitely going to do some brioche, so I think in the next video I will find us a pattern that we can all knit together, or you can pick your own, I'll try and see if I can find a free pattern, or just have one that's free and one that's paid that I'm completely in love with, and we can work from there. But I think I'm going to wrap up for now. So thank you all very much for watching and for joining me for some yarn chats. You can find me on Instagram, Etsy, and if you like this content and you want to help produce some more and support indie dyers such as Tracy, you can buy me a coffee. It's all linked below, and I will link the iCard as well. And have a wonderful weekend and have a wonderful week, and there will be a Dye With Me video out next weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, depending on just how much editing I can get in this weekend. And I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.